with this storyteller in my life. I thought, what would it be like if a girl grew up with a storyteller in her life and then fell in love with stories, and like, she doesn't have a superpower, but her strength is her wits, her cleverness, and her storytelling. And so she tells stories to her friends, and then things go wrong. So this idea of a thin place is found actually all over the world in different cultures, but especially up in the British Isles and Ireland and Scotland, you'll find markers that say this is a thin place. And what does that even mean? Well, the idea is that there's a boundary between the physical world and the spiritual world, between maybe heaven and earth, and that's very, it's only a few feet normally, but in a thin place it's even thinner. And so there's only this thin veil between our worlds. And so people that would experience a thin place, very often it's a feeling of awe, mystery, wonder, a very beautiful landscape or seascape. But that's not always the case. Sometimes people feel a little troubled by being in this specific place. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if the settlers that came over from that area, from Ireland and Scotland, brought these stories with them of thin places, and that around the Appalachian Mountains there were some as well. And what if one ripped open? And so things from this world of lore begin to happen in the real world. One time I was in this one building, and I walked through and I just felt like this super darkness, and I don't know if that was a thin place or not or what it was, but I remember walking through this like, I need to get out of this building. So I feel like there really is a world of spiritual entities, angels, demons. People see strange things, and the explanations are not always scientific of what people see and experience. And so so if that world were to rip open and frightening things began to happen, it's just interesting as a storyteller and writer where you can go with that. So yeah, it's interesting that when you look at our world, there are different ways you can tell stories about our world. Sometimes people tell stories that celebrate the darkness, that celebrate evil. They make evil look attractive, fascinating, slick, and glitzy. And those stories, I feel like, desensitize people to violence and evil. On the other hand, you can also tell stories where you just kind of jump over it and pretend it's not a big deal. Like the bad guys are not really scary. It's like it's all kind of comical. And in that way, evil is muted. So I feel like sometimes it's glamorized, and sometimes it's muted, but neither one is honest about our world. So both of those desensitize people to evil. So for instance, you might be watching the news, and the newscaster would say, a suicide bomber killed himself in Afghanistan, 34 people are dead, and the Cubs won 5-2. You're just like, you're diminishing that. And so I really feel like when we tell stories, we should tell stories with both eyes open. Not one eye closed, either to the pain or to the glory. Like, I believe our world is one of great grief and great horrors, and also one of great love and great mystery and awe and wonder. And so you have these two, and a lot of people's stories close one eye. They close one eye to the evil and pretend everything is wonderful, or they close one eye to the beauty and the glory and grace and love and wonder, and everything's dark and hopeless. And so I believe that to tell honest stories about human nature, we need to be honest about the darkness that weaves its way through our world, through our own hearts, but also be honest about the hope and redemption that are available. And only when we're honest about both, only when we look at our stories and our lives with both eyes open, can we really tell stories that explore what lies at the heart of human nature.